they'll lynch you. But he did, and he laughs.
You are a different cat. You're a different cat of fish.
To everybody, Russ from the West Ham Network. I don't know why I paused before I said that. I hope you're safe and well. Happy Thursday. Getting towards the end of the week, aren't we? Getting towards the end of the week. And another week of no one being signed for West Ham. If you want a bit of a giggle, let me turn my fan off. If you want a bit of a giggle, myself and Dan from West Ham Fan TV, Gary from Claret and Booze, and Mike from the Babbling Irons put together our own transfer committee. You know, no reference to any other transfer committees out there to do with West Ham, but we put together our own transfer committee to see if we could come up with a consortium in terms of a vote, a consensus rather, for signing players. I think we all agreed on 2 players, and we all agreed not to sign 1 player, and the others were me being a bit of an arse, to be honest. But it's my own opinion. It's my own opinion. But according to our consortium, we would have signed Fofana, Alvarez, and we definitely wouldn't have signed Harry Maguire. So there we go. Let's see, loads of comments. Let's go through this. More false transfer stories. Getting bored and fed up of West Ham now. Do the club not realise what they're putting the fans through, says West Ham Philippines. I wouldn't say you're fed with West Ham or the ownership and management of West Ham. We are all West Ham. We are indeed. 50 pence. There have been worse run. Let's see what happens. We all know. If we're talking about worst run clubs, check out Wolves at the moment. So when the manager does an unauthorized interview with Guilherme in his Wolves outfit, saying basically it's all shit. They're selling, the likes of Jimenez. They haven't got 4 million, 5 million quid to buy Aaron Cresswell yet. So they're trying to sell. We are in. Yeah, we're a bit of a. We haven't signed anyone. But we've still got the likes of Lucas Paqueta, Skamaka. We've still got the likes of Agard. We've still got these players. Yes, we did sell our top striker for £105 million, top midfielder rather. But there are a lot, honestly. And I know we all have this sort of everything's burning around it, but don't forget we did win a European competition last year as well. The same squad. So yeah. Anyway, who's the winger? We'll come back to that in a minute. Ryan, breaking news: there is none. Indeed. Tell me when we buy someone. I'll speak to you in mid-August. The latest coming out of West Ham: they've gone to lunch. Good to know. Good to know. The lunch will last until transfer window deadline day, and we might shock people and actually sign someone. Somebody wake me up for the Bournemouth game on my blade. Until then, had enough of this window. It's embarrassing. Plenty of delusional fans out there are still on the Moyes and Bukaki. It's a bit too much for a Thursday lunchtime, isn't it? Yet another season of walking defensively football under the cards under Taggart. Well, I think, yeah, it is at the moment, and there's something drastically going to change. You have permission to wake me if Leatherface gets the sack too. Right. Breaking news: we've signed Fine Ponies. Breaking news: we've got an extension on our Porter cabins, haven't we? Whoa, 2 years. 2 more years. Porter cabins. Can see us getting no one in and letting 4 or 5 leave. Happy Hammer, hope you're well. Brady's gone quiet. So has the Borg's transfer? It has indeed. We'll talk about that, in terms of Darnesh has provided a little bit of an update and stuff. I have to say, great show. Thank you, Andy Imp. Thank you. Barry, hope you're well. Lawrence is in the chat as well. Toby's here. Good show. Enjoyed the different views. How are you doing? I'm all right. Do you know what? I'm a bit moist. I'll be honest. It's a moist day out there in Hornchurch. This is doing my head in. Thanks. Tommy B's in the chats. Next week, coming over next week, isn't it? I don't know why I'm sorting out my weekend over the internet, but anyway, you know what I mean. Come over next week, innit, bro? I'm a couple of minutes late. I think some of them will be the death of West Ham. You could do a panel show every night for the next 3 talk about 5 channels and none would be signed indeed. Everyone's talking to each other. Let's just zoom through. Matt's in the chats. X posted about McTominay. He did. By all accounts, we've got this. I don't know. It seems it was a six-person list. I think it's down to 4 now. I'm trying to eat my lunch, and you keep saying the word moist. Well, don't put it in the chat, and I won't mention it. Where are the shirts, Russ? Good to see them. Oh, I'm at work today. I'm working today, so I had a lovely pink number on yesterday with little flamingos. It was very good. Anyway, as we always do on a Thursday, we try and do the transfer rumor roundup, the Russy Rumour roundup. As I said, go back and check out last night. Great show with the boys. Really interesting, and we did like a committee. We had a voting system, and Mike from Babbling Irons, very, very stat and analytic led. So it was really interesting to get his views rather than ours, who maybe a little bit more. Yeah, he looks all right. That type of thing. He had a lot more behind the old behind the players, particularly Alvarez, which swayed maybe I think Dan and maybe myself a little bit in terms of could be a good player for us. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, we'll try and bring you some latest rumours, the latest information. And let's start with Borges. Carlos. I'm calling him Oscar, but his name's Carlos. Carlos Borges. Obviously, I think it was this time last week. It's been a week now that news broke that we obviously Fabrizio Romano said that we were going to be signing him. Buyback, 14 million quid. Personal terms have been agreed, and the weekend they've been agreed. It's going to happen. It's all going to be quiet, isn't it? It's all going to be quiet. Dharmesh, on one of his podcasts yesterday, Dharmesh from Sky Sports, still feels that the deal's happening. It'll be sooner rather than later. Obviously, we know what he is. He's a highly rated Portuguese international under 19s. He's someone highly rated by the Man City fan base as well. When you talk about him, in the same way that we have this sort of, we rate Divine and Balmer really highly. They did the same too with Carlos. And he expects this one to go through sooner rather than later. I don't know why it's taking so long, but then he should not be named. How long did that fucking transfer happen? And that was for 105 million quid. So I have no idea why it's taking so long. X did put out a story saying we were looking at Demario Gray as well, but that was no news. But apparently we were looking at him as an alternative, maybe for Carlos. I don't know if it's an alternative. I think it might be another one we're looking at because it'd be relatively cheap. And apparently also Chelsea, when we were talking about Conor Gallagher, have offered us Hudson-Odoi. But we don't know. I mean, I still think I haven't heard anything to the contrary that it hasn't fallen through. So for me, it's still it's actually gone up to 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 for Russy B on this one. This is this one is the first one for the door, and hopefully the floodgates will then open. Whatever. At this rate, we'll be in a relegation battle before Christmas. I think the likes of Luton will struggle. I think again, I'm not already saying the teams that are worse than us already, but I think Wolves are going to be really down there. The Pigs, Sheffield United will be down there as well. I think Luton will be as well. And, I think Burnley will struggle. I think Everton will struggle again. I think it's going to be the similar suspects. But you never know. You never know with West Ham. We just don't know, do we? And that's the great thing about it. It was a great show. I was like, thank you very much. I like to look at the events left wing up. We'll talk about it in a tick. Moister than an oyster. Okay, happy, all right. Now, what way your bread's buttered? Nigeria beat Australia 3-1. Wow, fair play. Giving a few kids contracts would be good if the manager had given kids a chance. Are they planning on sending them out on loan? Peter, the information we've read, same as you guys, is that everyone apart from Mbama is available for loan next season. So the likes of Freddie, the likes of George Earthy. I think the Freddie one will be interesting. I think if a club went in for Freddie Potts on loan, I think it would have to be a good championship side, because I think he would get game time. But he's still got the likes of Downs, he's still got the likes of Fornals, he's still got the likes of Soucek, he's still got the likes of potentially whoever we bring in midfield, 1 or 2. So he could be a 6th or 7th choice, really, for Freddie. And you want him to get some game time because we know he's going to be a good player. But apparently everyone apart from Mbama is are up for loans. If they go on loan, it's a different thing. But we'll see. I'm ever optimistic, but even I am struggling at the moment. Oh, well. But the thing is, Tobes, right? It's the same story every year. Every year. We think we're going to do our business early. Bosh. And it never works out. It never works out. And it's not even under the current regime. You look at periods where we've had success. We've never invested at the right time. So you look back at 85, 86, we didn't invest. We almost went down 86, 87, and that's under John Lyle, and that was under, John Lyle and, people like that. So it's always, we've never really invested at the right time, thinking, the Redknapp era, after, we didn't really invest when at Redknapp. We got to 7th. We did kind of at Glen Roeder, maybe was the wrong types of players he brought in, God rest his soul. We went down. You got to think, if we go back to the Paya era, we didn't invest there particularly well and bought loads of guys like Gokhan Torre and Jonathan Clary and people like that. Even the last season at the Bolin, we went a bit crazy. Brought in people like Nikola Jelavic, obviously wasn't good players. So we've never done it. So I don't know. But, I'm hoping maybe not this transfer window, because I think still with Tim Steiner coming in July officially, it's going to take. I mean, it took. You think when Rob Newman came in, the first transfer window we didn't in that summer, he didn't do anything until he didn't even do anything in the winter, and it was actually the following summer. So like last summer, he actually brought players in. So it may take a year, it may take until January, and who knows where we'll be by then. But we'll see. How long until Tim walks away? Don't think so. He's a good thing money wise, and I don't think he'll walk. I think a lot of that is people putting 2 and 2 together. I think the more likelihood, the story is because Tim's on a multi-year contract. Moyes is on a multi-year contract. Moyes is in less than a year on his contract now. So I think you'll see. I think that's a bigger possibility than maybe Tim. But I don't think. I think the thing is, people come up with stories because there's no transfer news happening. So the whole thing with Skamaka is doing my brain at the moment, because it's all just shit coming from Italy, and there's nothing coming the other way back. So yeah, teams are inflating their prices due to us being minted, due to selling, who should not be named. Yeah, I agree, but if that's the case, then fuck them, and actually go to we maybe we're not shop, maybe we shouldn't shop in that league now. The likes of, we know that obviously Gallagher. I still think Gallagher will move, but I think he'll move at the end of the transfer window. And I'm not so, and I'll say it yesterday, I'm not so fussed if we buy Premier League experienced players towards the end of the transfer window, because they already know the pace of the game, they already know the league, they can slot in more easily, more comfortably than if you went and bought someone like Fofana with like 3 days left before the the window. They have to understand the whole culture, and then and that's the trouble with Skamaka, just too long. Who will score goals apart from Bowen and Barmer will? Afternoon, Andy. Hope you're well. Have I missed a really nearly silent? Yeah, really nearly silent. Really nearly. Honestly, Connor Coventry, great shout as well. Yeah, great shout. Can we please tell me we're selling Souček and Antonio? We'll talk about Souček at Hammer's headlines tonight. Could be possible. There could be. Galatasaray could play a massive part in our midfield transfer bit. That's all I'm saying. Antonio, there was news today that Moussa Dembele, obviously the winker, Moussa Dembele has signed for El Fatica. Stephen Gerrard's side decided that we're looking for Antonio. So I would be surprised if he goes to El Fatica now, but we'll see. Right. Well, let's just go through everywhere. There's loads of comments. Love the committee show last night. Thank you. We'll be doing it again. A team of Russ, Ryan, Gonzo, and Luke. Yeah, maybe we'll do it again. We'll see what happens. What's the beef? Any players yet? Nope. What about Alvarez? Nothing new at the moment. Latest is we're haggling the buyback clause, which is fair enough. I'd be haggling that, to be honest. I know it's frustrating under Moyes doing like business day, not great, but to be fair, we've only signed one dud under Moyes. Do you know what, Toby? You're right. I mean, you look at the players we have brought in, and arguably Pugil is probably the one who hasn't. The rest of, I think, and Vlasic, maybe, and Vlasic, yeah. Okay, and Kroll as well. I expect you to see one of the new shirts. One of the new. I'm not paying 75 quid just yet, mate. It's getting embarrassing now. It's repetitive horse shit, Russ. I ain't found like this frustration. Moyes chased after Lingard. Well, that's the last 3 years. If you waste half the money on Maguire, Russ, Moyes need to give 5, give their heads a wobble. I love that expression, give your heads a wobble. I don't think that's happening, mate. Supercomputers finishing 11th. Yeah, I think it's fair enough. Apparently, Alves is a backup option to McTominay from X. Well, McTominay apparently has taken a knock in pre-season, so we'll see what happens with that one. Let's talk about the title, the thumbnail signing potential of Samuel Illing Jr. So apparently West Ham want to sign the Juventus winger and have tabled apparently an offer for the England Youth International, according to Il Bianconero. According to their official website, the Italian news outlet report that the 3 Premier League clubs have made concrete proposals, and the Hammers are one of them. Juventus apparently wants £17 million for the young winger, and West Ham have been previously linked with him, with making the deal up to about 25 million to get a deal done. Apparently, it's us, Fulham, and Everton have all come forward with proposals. Obviously, we missed out on Harvey Barnes. If you think he was on our list, I don't know if he was or wasn't. And the hunt is very much still on for attacking quality. He's a record breaker. As he's the youngest player to have started a Champions League game for Juventus. So, he's played at the top level. And it won't be easy considering, the competition. I think there'll be other clubs interested in Samuel. As I said, he's homegrown as well. So there's that sort of extra added sort of cost tax onto him in terms of his fee. Obviously, I mean, we've got the whole Carlos Borges as well. Does this mean Carlos isn't coming in? I don't think so. I think actually Samuel does tend to play. He can play as a wing back, and he does play on the right quite a lot as well. So actually, it's one thing we haven't got is cover for Bowen. So it could be another exciting, fast, quick-paced winger. So I don't think it's in case of emergency break glass and sign Samuel Illing Jr. But it's I think I could see him coming in as well as Carlos. But I give it 50-50 because I think there's other clubs in for him, and we seem to be, midfielders are tend to be. We spend a lot of our time talking about midfielders, and now it's more like wingers now. You think, in fact, it's him, Carlos. You've got, as I said, Hudson-Odoi. We've got Damari Gray. There'll be some more wingers coming through, no doubt, as well. But let's see some comments. Yeah, he did. Picked up an injury apparently last night. I don't know how severe it is. Yeah. Could have done better. I wasn't even counting Hugo Russ. That was the first one. That was the first go around. I still count him though. He's still a Moyes signing. Got to shoot, but like the channel, please, Hammers. Indeed, do what Happy Hammer has said and give it a like. Thank you very much. Do you predict that Borges? Yeah, I do. I think Borges will be the first signing. Although I think JLOB is getting a bit close to him, but we'll come back to that. The lad from Juventus would be the end of Borges, as both are. And he has played, but he does play left wing back as well. And also he does play sort of right side as well. I mean, you don't know, arguably maybe Samuel could be one. I mean, a similar number, 14 million for Carlos, 17, 18 for Samuel. It could be. I mean, we know it's Italian press putting 2 and 2 together to try and get Scamacca back in Serie A. So anything with an Italian sort of forward or Italian-based forward, I always take a massive pinch of salt. Hence why it's 50-50. You can only fight on one front, Premier League, or we can only fight Premier League or Europa, sacrifice domestic cups for youth potential. I agree, Tim. And that's the trouble. We want the youth to develop. We want the youth to be given game. But if that's the detriment of us staying in the Premier League, then no. So I think personally, I really think that, for the cup competitions, using that as a springboard for the youth side is more important for me. They get plenty of opportunities there. 2 of our targets are both injured. Yeah, but yeah, I know, but yeah. Selling Duchesne to Leon, brilliant, love it. Be bad if Gallagher gets injured as well. Yeah, he might as well get the hat trick. Wetty Fat, hope you're well. Yes, agree. Show your choices. Alves, no way. With Maguire or McTominay. See, I like McTominay. I really do. I really think he's a good player. And I think if we got as I said yesterday, if we get the McTominay from Scotland rather than Man United McTominay, I think we'd all be very happy with them, like by the end of the year. I really would. I don't think he's as shit as someone else make it out. I think he's a very good player, and I think in the right role, I think he would do really well. But then he might be injured, and he might cost you 50 million or 45 million pounds. So, but I think unfortunately that's the going rate for a central midfield Premier League player now. You're not going to pick up a 25 million. I mean, even look at Spurs. Spurs paid 40 million for James Maddison, who from a relegated side. That's the level you're looking at now. It really is. And and there has to be a case. And as I said, that comes with being a Premier League player, being a homegrown player, but also I think the fact is these guys can slip in, so to speak, moist and slipping in, can slip into a Premier League side without too much adjustment. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Breaking news: no under-18 squad next season. They'll all be first team. There we go. Russ, are you filming a milk trad? Very good. What is your prediction of 2 centre midfield McTominay and JWP? I'm gonna say, well, in terms of what I think will come thing, I think it'll be JWP and Alvarez. Good afternoon from a Barnsley fan, Ryan. Hope you're well. It's reported that hurt his knee and seen limping. Fofana and JWP. Personally, I would like Fofana and Alvarez, but I think we'll get one Premier League ready player, one developmental player. So I think it would be either Fofana and Alvarez, one of them, and then a JWP. But anyway, you're right. Under 19s are playing in the Czech Republic. In a new tournament, apparently you can buy the stream to all the matches. So keep an eye on that. Right, who's next? Let's talk about Holm. Let's talk about Emil Holm. So apparently, us and Brighton have both made bids for the Spiezza right back Emil Holm, who is attracting interest from Atalanta and Juventus as well, according to Tutor Mercato Web. Now, the news outlet reported yesterday that the Serie B side, Spiezza, have received bids for Holm from the two English clubs, although both have been rejected, as the club are looking for about 12 to 13 million quid for the right back. His interest was reported back about a week or so ago. We spoke about him. And that interest looks to have developed, and a formal bid apparently has been made. It was reported that Spiezza are actually resigned to losing him as they got relegated from Serie A last season, and that's for a £12 million sort of price tag, highly rated in Italy, as you can see, because the fact that Juventus are interested in him. 12 million quid doesn't seem a lot. He's 23. He made 20 Serie A appearances last season for Spiezza and played very well despite the side being relegated and him being a defender. I mean, also the fact that someone like Brighton is sniffing around for him should give you solace that he's a good player, if you've never heard of him, because they've obviously got a very impressive recruitment sort of procedure. So, again, buying players you've never heard of. Again, this to me does scream Steinden. Gonzo did a show the other day where it was Steinden or Moyes. This one's Steinden, in my opinion. But it's an area which we need to develop as well, and need to practice, need to get better players in for Holm in terms of that right back. So I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 because I don't know how much I believe whether a bid has been made or not, but I no doubt think we'll have interest in him. What we got here? Any news on Tar? Says bro, no, nothing yet. Obviously, it was 15 million. We had the what's it called? Buyout clause that stopped about 10 days ago. So we can't get him. Apparently, he's just sitting there waiting. He's waiting to see what happens. I think he's obviously keen to leave. Obviously, we played by Leverkusen in the last friendly game, so that may well move things along. Who knows? My grand will be an upgrade on Suchek at the moment. From Sweden, says Liam. Hope you will. Bring him home. There we go. Home is where the heart is. Very good. I am as down as tatty salad as everyone else, but if we sign JDP, he'll start notching 10 to 12 goals again. I agree. And we'll talk about JDP in a minute. He's obviously one goal away from the Premier League all-time free kick goal scoring record. Apparently, David Beckham had it. So be great if he did it, and he did it against like Spurs, against Arsenal, and he just goes up to that bloke who should not be named and just go, fuck you, because he's discovered football. I don't know if you realise, if you listened to his interview, that he who should not be named the former captain, he's apparently his eyes have been open to what football is. He's discovered football since he's turned to Arsenal. There we go. Holm is not for us. Too technical. Holmes under the hammer. Very good. Holm under the hammer. Very good. I actually did that when I interviewed Matty Holmes. I called it Holmes under the hammer. Okaflex apparently is signing for Selly B side. Selly B side. Pescara. Apparently. Selly C side. Pescara. Home bargains indeed. Moyes is scaring players off, sick of its differing sand tactics. Homesick. When does the Betway logo get taken off our shirts? 2024-5? Or it's not. Basically, you can't sign a new. If that's when you can't have any new sponsors who are gambling companies, I think. But if you have an existing sponsorship deal, so if Betway sign up for a 10-year deal today, then they can technically still keep their logo on there for 10 years or something like that. Home and away, very good. Russ speaking some Holm truths. Holmes Elementary. Are we looking forward to the Chelsea game to its weight? Me cannot wait. Me neither. Because I'll tell you what, I can't wait. Because Mrs. Budden and Flo will go away. So they go away that weekend. First home game of the season. Home alone, indeed. I'd be home alone. Home is my eyes. Positive news about Mbama. It always is, mate. Always is. Sherlock Holmes, very good. Fair point that we can get another 10 goals midfield, which will be great. I think generally, Thomas Suchek, you'll see different, the shackles off. I think you'll see a better player if he's still here. Can't see us signing anyone. We all sign someone, don't worry about that. Moyes has been put off by the pearl divers. Oxygen suppliers cut it off. Obviously, the pearl diver, we're talking about Tim Steindem because he likes to unearth pearls. Right, let's talk about João Palhinha. Let's talk about him quickly. Obviously, we mentioned that one of our transfer signings or transfer targets in terms of McTominay was injured or has taken a knock, a knee injury yesterday. Apparently, he's pre-season, and obviously, João Palhinha was playing Brighton in Philadelphia, and he obviously went down with his shoulder and hurt his shoulder. Unfortunately, we don't know the extent of that yet. I don't think it's been actually revealed just yet in terms of how bad it is. But apparently, West Ham are, according to Damesh, could potentially reach a compromise with Fulham for the signing of the Portuguese international. This is bollocks. This ain't going to happen. But he mentioned that obviously they had a bid, £45 million bid rejected, and they had more talks where Fulham weren't really budging on their valuation, about 80 million. Publicly it's at 80 million, but they will probably compromise on that. That's probably a start of a negotiation. I think West Ham, with all in mind, are probably thinking, are we going to go back or are we going to focus on other targets? Obviously, with the injury, I think that curtails it. But then Fabrizio Romano today on one of his podcasts was quoted saying that he is our dream target in midfield. So, as I said, personally, I really wanted him. I really, really wanted him because I just think he comes in, hits the ground running, great central defensive midfielder, does that job really well. No bedding in period. Let's Paqueta be Paqueta, and I think you'd see a hell of a side. And even if he kept, what's his face, Souček in, Souček, Palhinha, and Paqueta, that ain't a bad midfield. But I don't think it's going to happen because I think he's injured. So I don't think we're going to sign an injured player. But you never know, West Ham. 2 out of 10. I'll give him 2 out of 10, which means he's probably guaranteed to sign now. Let's go for a few more comments. What we got here? What Rice video is how backward Moyes is and tactics. He continues to coach from the 80s. Borges coming, I hope, with Harwood Bellis. Great pair. Would indeed. I like Palhinha. But do you want one set of shoulders between? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with Paqueta's. I think as long as it's the other shoulder, as long as it's, Palhinha's is the left and Paqueta's the right, will be okay. Watching from the Gold Coast. Lucky you. Can you imagine West Ham signing an injured player? Don't answer that. Yes, I can. Don't remember. Was it Scott Mean? Do you remember Scott Mean, who he bought with a broken leg from Bournemouth? One of Harry's signings. Great player. I say we're 50 million for Lavia and 30 million for JWP. Still have money for a backup striker. That'd be lovely, wouldn't it? Please know one good season doesn't make a £3 player. No, indeed. We should sign Scholes if it's the Moyes mould, age and prem ready. Typical of us to spend 40 million plus on an injured player from Fulham. No wonder they are keen to sell. They're not keen to sell, but I think you could actually you could. I think actually the injury. We'll see, I suppose. Again, for me, he's someone you don't have to buy and bring in today. You can bring him in if it's a minor dislocation, or I mean, look, Paqueta got, he dislocated his shoulder, then he banged it again, but he was all right, and you just don't know. Just don't know. But I think there's another twist in that Polina deal. I really believe it, but we'll see. We'll see. But although I want it to happen, I don't think it's going to happen. Let's talk about JWP. James Ward-Prowse, arguably the most likely one to be signing of our midfield targets. We are apparently edging closer to an agreement, according to reliable reports. According to Sky Sports, they're edging closer to an agreement with Southampton. They're believed to have had positive talks with the South Coast outfit, and it suggested that the player agreeing personal terms is not expected to be a problem. We know he's probably greatest attribute is his contributions, his assists. Last year he scored 9 goals and 4 assists. A few of them were penalties as well. And I think he's the most. The four of us yesterday, we sort of said who's the most likely person we're going to sign, who's the player we think we want to sign, and pretty much everyone was saying that they assumed JWP, and I think so. Interesting point though, particularly with Gianluca Scamacca. They share the same agent, CAA Stella. Obviously, Scamacca changed agents from was it first something agent in Italy to CAA Stella, and JWP is CAA Stella. There we go, little factoid. He recorded 241 crosses and 127 goal-creating actions over the course of last season. Fair play. More than any other person in his squad. Interestingly, throughout his career, he's beaten West Ham 6 times. So it'd be nice to get him on the home side rather than the away side. For me, I think this one's going to, the Russy Rumour rating, the original Rumour rating, I'll put 10. I don't know how I feel about it. Actually, I don't think I said I want. I think I said I didn't want him in my rankings, my committee voting, because I just think he epitomizes what we're good at, but he epitomizes what Moyes doesn't want us to do anymore, and that is the whole, sort of not long ball, but set piece. We were a very good set piece side. And as I said, I don't think our gameplay has changed particularly since in this second stint of Moyes. But the thing was, our set plays where we were scoring 10, where Suchek was scoring 10 goals and this person was scoring 5 goals, and we weren't scoring any. So it highlighted how poor we were doing, because we weren't scoring those set piece goals. I think if we turn to some set piece wizardry with someone like JWP, you'll see again playing the same type of football, but we'll be scoring more goals, and so we might win those games where we sort of play all right and we lose 1-0 or we draw 1-1, and where we were picking up lots of those wins. We weren't doing it, last season as much. Let's kind of look at some chats. Ken, any thoughts on Billingham? Billings, I think, is a great player. There was rumblings us being linked with him. I think he's a great player. Tall, leggy. He's someone we've been. I mean, you and me have been talking about him. For West Ham for a couple of years now, I reckon. He's a very good player. Paqueta, Emerson, Benny, not his choices. Mug. Do you think your frustration and or worrying your fans is justified just yet? Well, in respect to do you think our frustration and our worrying from fans is justified just yet? Yeah, it's worrying. I mean, the fact is, on paper, very worrying. Worrying to some extent in that we've got we're the only side not to have bought anyone in the Premier League. And we've lost our captain. We've lost our talisman. We've got a committee with differing outlooks. We have got a transfer committee with different goals. Well, not really different goals, but different time projections. And I've said this before, you've got a situation where you've got someone like David Moyes who has he has a situation where he is not probably going to be this time next year. He's got 1 year left in his contract. So for him, it's about a good year. He needs a good year. He's a good year, not only if the chances or the potential maybe offering him getting a new contract after his current contract runs out at West Ham, but even if he wants to then go to another club, it'll look good on his CV for another cup run, another top 10, top 8 finish. So he wants players to play who he can slot in just now. We need players to slot in just now, because although it's great and we have this pathway and we have players coming in and we buy players who maybe are going to develop and come into the system in the next year, 6 months, 18 months, 2 years, we could be in the Championship by then. We could be in League One by then. So actually, we need a balance. You do need a balance. So you need guys who are going to come in and just hit the ground running and improve the squad and give us a fighting chance of having a good season. And you need people coming in who are going to develop into really good players. So there is a balance. And I think the trouble is they've got very different views. I think they need to find a similar ground. That's just my view. Dislocations often happen. They do. I mean, look at Paqueta. Everyone's talking to each other. Rumour that Maguire is injured. He has 50 pounds of splinters in his arse. He won't take the doctor to take them out. Fair enough. Gabor Manu just ran rings around. He should not be named. Was he in the squad? Oh, no, sorry. It was he wasn't even in the Barcelona match, was he? Where they won 5-3. I really don't want these older players. Worries me that we waste 105 million. We need more athletic beasts with future potential to on. I agree, but we do need that experience, because I think we do need someone who can just slot in. Last season, I've said it loads of times. You look at everyone we signed last season. The guy who made the biggest impact not the biggest impact, but made the most consistent impact throughout the whole season was Emerson. Not a marquee signing. I mean, Paqueta obviously towards the end was phenomenal, and Neged was very good after the injury and whatnot. But Emerson didn't need a Benningham period. He just literally started and played. And you can get players that do that. Remember Soufal, we first signed him for, he played that Leicester game at Leicester. He'd only been with the squad for less than 24 hours, and he slotted in like he was part of the parcel. You do get those occasionally with foreign-based players coming in, but you need that Premier League. You do need some of that. It's a balancing act. It's not all about going out and buying all the kids, because if you do that, you'll have a great team in the next 2 years, but we'll struggle this year. If we don't utilise what we've already got. So if we don't utilise maybe Pablo Fornals, moving him maybe into a more central role. But will he do that? No. Why the transfers never know anything like this? Our transfers just take forever, don't they? My heart is set on Alvarez, Fofana and Scott. Then one in, one out for the rest. That'd be nice. JP could get Ings firing. Could do. I'll take Ings as long as it'll be under 30 million and he's the only over 28 we sign. That's what I mean, Ken. I think that's the way I don't see us going out and buying him and McTominay or him and Conor Gallagher. I think it's him plus someone like Alvarez or someone like that. Apparently it's 28 million pounds. We're looking there is sort of the fee. Probably plus add-ons as well. But I think that's not a bad deal. Sully's clever. The longer he leaves it, the more expectation level drops, and he suddenly strikes for lesser targets. We have no pace. The counter-attack teams need to come somewhere. That's why you buy someone like Carlos Borges. That's like you buy someone like Ilian Jr. We've got Bowen on the left-hand side. We've got Obama. That's the whole idea. The midfield, in the way we play, the midfield doesn't have to be massively fast. It really doesn't. And that's the way we're going to play. And, we are going to play Moyes ball. But the trouble is we haven't recently. Antonio's been fired all cylinders from a pace perspective. So having someone like Carlos on that left-hand side, maybe, or Ilian Jr. or both, or Damari Gray, or, options, to knock balls over the top. Cornet as well, maybe a fit Cornet, we might see something out of him. That's, when people go, our midfield is going to be so slow. Our midfield was slow anyway, really, in honesty. Declan Rice, he did his bum. I mentioned him. £5 in the jar. He wouldn't say he's rapid, but, for what he needs to do, he was quick enough. And I think that's the same with JWP, to be honest. How will JWP fit in with the Pat-Man? I think he'll fit in quite well, because I think he's got that long range passing. And I think Pat-Man, it would allow Pat-Man to, if he does long range passing to, I don't know, Carlos or Skamaka or Obama, there's a knockdown back to Paqueta. Paqueta then has the ball in the middle, in the attack in front. He can then turn and look around and play a decent ball. JWP must be under 30 million, especially when Barnes has only went for 39. Indeed. Having said that, maybe it could work if we use our youngsters, but I hate to end up selling Obama. Obama's going nowhere, mate. Seriously, this committee crap is going to cost us hugely. What's wrong with one guy is the players getting on with it. We'll see. I'm sure that will happen. Paqueta slow, Souček slow, Sufa slow. Yeah, they are. But in that congested midfield, pace isn't the way we play. That midfield, it doesn't have to be pacey. It doesn't have to be. It'd be nice to be pacey. It doesn't have to be. As long as we've got the pace on the wings and the forwards, which we haven't had on the left-hand side. I mean, Bowen's quick. Not rapid, but he's quick. We had a really quick player since Flash left, really, I'd suggest. But someone like Carlos coming in, he's so suited to Moyes ball, because that ball over the top. And I think if we get more into Cornet's playing more centrally the other day against Damon Redbridge as well. Obviously got a goal, so I think you'll see more of him next year as well. So we'll see what happens. Billing is 6'6". Wow, he's also 28. Yeah, he is. I don't like Souček, has zero composure. He gets pressed, and even the Aussies work that one out. JWP, I'll be all over, but because he should be cheap, can't be paying over 30 million. We won't be paying over 30 million for him. We won't be. As I said, I think 27. I think that's, again, it's and we are slapping in bids and go, right, Bosch, that's it. You don't want it, off. Move on. You know what I mean? We've got prices for all of our players in terms of ones we want. We won't pay over the odds. I think we may end up paying over the odds eventually. Because it seems more and more dwindling out. Someone like Dennis Zakaria, that was all but signed. Looks like Monaco are going to be putting a bid in. I think he knows the Monaco man. He used to work with the Monaco manager at Borussia Mönchengladbach. That could open the door up for Fofana. Maybe he's Fofana's replacement. We don't know. We like the Will Tappers and Shunters. Yeah. That'll do. There's your MOT. Matt Paqueta is slow, mate. Only has 2 gears. I watch him constantly. Very skillful. He is, and he is slow. The amount of times, one-on-ones, he always gets tends caught up just towards the end. Crap relief like that. Really wanted Thuram. Yeah, Kepa Thuram from Nice is a great player. Dynamic, pacey, gets stuck in, would suit West Ham to the ground. But then, as with all these players, why is no one else putting a bid in for him? He was going to Liverpool. Why is he not going to Liverpool? We talk about Kamada, Danichi Kamada from, he's apparently available on a free transfer from Eintracht Frankfurt. AC Milan were in talks and they pulled out. And Lazio were in talks and they pulled out. Why? These are good players and there's still no one else has bought them. No one else has, we know that Conor Gallagher, he's not coming to us really, but he looks like he's going to stay at Chelsea probably to the end of the transfer window, I'd suggest. But no one else has bid for him. JWP, no one else has bid for him. Fulham was sniffing, but no one else has. So, yeah. Thank you very much, Mark. Good point. Thank you very much as well. Antony going nowhere. He's going nowhere now because, what's his face, isn't he? Dembele's gone to El Fatihad. Russy, if Skamaka goes well, Antony will stay and be our number 1 striker yet again. Don't think Skamaka's going. There we go. I've said it. Not say he hasn't got a desire to eventually go back to Roma. I think, but he doesn't want to go. But everyone sort of reads what they've they can out of the interviews he says. But for me, one of the telling interviews was, if I go back to Serie A, it's not because I failed in the Premier League. At the moment, he hasn't even started really in the Premier League. So he's got unfinished business. He's fit. He's feeling good. Obviously, people are like, oh, he wasn't at the Dagenham Redbridge game. He wasn't. He was in Italy. He was in Italy getting, doing the checkup on his operation. As I said, people didn't say that Pablo Fornals wasn't in the Dagenham Redbridge game, and he wasn't. He was on a flight to Valencia, so he was flying back from Valencia on Sunday night. So, why is one person not being there? There was talk today. I think X said put a piece out about Aaron Cresswell, who's apparently refusing to go to training. Aaron Cresswell, who everyone loved, is 9 years and should be a captain. He's apparently refusing to go to training to try and push this deal through to Wolves. A bit like Craig Dawson did. Do you remember Craig Dawson did the same thing? Maybe he had a word with him. But yeah, it's just not a happy place to go. It doesn't seem it. I'm so pleased for Emerson. I hope he kicks on. I think Emerson's found his level. I think he'll have a good season next year. Why are you blaming new players? The whole team was terrible. It was totally terrible, mate. Totally terrible. The fact is, I think this year, at least this year coming, we'll have a better squad than we started last year with, in terms of people ready to play. I think you look at Bowen's goal. Bowen's goals dried up. Souček's goals dried up. It's Fabian, goalkeeper, was too shabby. But yeah, I mean the whole team didn't perform well, but particularly the first half of the season when you really needed to. Something positively nice indeed. That's what we need to cut. I think we're going to get a bang bang. I think we're going to get a like buses. I think I think we'll get 2 quick signings, and then that will probably set the stall in terms of what's going to happen for the rest of the window. If, for example, Carlos Borges and Taylor Harwood-Bellis come through, double signing, or one sign one day, one sign next day, we know who's winning the committee battle. If it's JWP and Scott McTominay or Harry Maguire or something like that, we know who's definitely won. The other side has won the debate in the transfer committee. If we get a JWP and someone like Carlos Borges and Alvarez, for example, or Fofana, that to me shows compromise. So we'll see what happens. Agree, Russ. One older player, Sajo, a couple of youngsters. Totally. Totes. The Antonio talk's gone quiet, isn't it? Hope he does go. He won't go, I don't think, now. Antonio's got himself in a bit of a situation. He's been cleared out the last 2 transfer windows, really, isn't it? So someone's got to buy it. Fofana and the Mac are all possible for me. Agreed. Russ, did Flo get her ears pierced? She did. She did get her ears pierced. Come and show them your lovely ears pierced. She did. It was she actually got them done. So iron ears, don't know, she had an ear pierced and didn't happen like a year ago, and we had to take them down to a proper place. She's doing her hair. She's so pretentious, but she's in her pajamas. And she did get her ears pierced. But she had to get them done with a professional. Come, just cover your face and then show your ear. They're very pretty. She got her ears done. You can't see them, but yeah, she did get her ears pierced. So I've been spraying them every day. Thank you, Ludders, for asking, and she's very happy about them. We had a bit of an ordeal that day, a few tears, but it's done. That's it now. She knows she's not, and it's all right, though, isn't it? No, you're not scared about it now, innit, bro. We need to improve our corners and crossing in general. We do. How does one get to support strikers with slow middles? Good point. But we never tend to do that, do we? I think it's just about the formation for me. If Paqueta's 5 yards further up than JWP, for example, or Souček, that to me means you should be close to the striker and the strike. It's. I don't know what's going to happen. So we are saying Paqueta, JWP, and Souček starts. Personally, I think so. The only slight one could be Paqueta, JWP, and one other, not Souček. But as I said, I think Galatasaray have got something to say about that, so we'll see. Dead balls were proper shit last year. They were indeed. Karen see us paying about 35 as no one wants to come. I think we're going to start having to pay a little bit more to try and get, because I still think we need this balance. I genuinely think I genuinely think we need this balance. So we'll see. Could Suzik go back to doing what he does best, box to box? Definitely. Do you actually think a takeover is just on the horizon? No, I don't think so. In January. Generally at all. I think for me, there's again, it's dependent. I think what happens with Man United. In all honesty, I think if Man United, if that deal goes through, I think the losing party will want to still stay in football. So whether it is Sir Jim Radcliffe or it's the Qatarian, what's his name? Sheikh, I can't remember. Then I think they would be. I think they could be. Again, there was some. I read an article that Sean put up today about Davy Gold's will. In terms of he does have a will in place and all that type of stuff. So I think there's that time needs to be sorted out, because obviously there's difficulty there with probate and stuff like that. I'd imagine, particularly. I mean, anyone who's parents or grandparents have passed, that takes forever, let alone a multi-millionaires probate, let alone the person it probably would have gone to has also then passed away. So it's difficult. Aaron's gone quiet. I think, well, as I said, Aaron's refusing to play football at the moment. What would these quality players come and play under Moyes? Surely they must know what he's like. AC Milan went for Reinders instead. They did, and it looks like Lazio are probably going to go for Gabriel Sal as well. Origi would be ideal. I think but it was as Toby said, it was a sub really. So I don't know now, to be honest. Will Potts get a sniff? I think he will do, but not as much as maybe I think he needs to get. As I said, he's got the likes of Downs, Connor Coventry, Souček, Fornals. The midfielder we bring in, if not two midfielders, he's probably 6th or 7th choice. So for me, he would need to go to. I think a loan deal would help him, but not if he stayed. I think he'd get a lot of the cup competitions and some European football. But it's up to. I think as I said, I think everyone's up for loan except for Mbama in the under 21s. I saw a report 2 days ago about Souček. That's what we're going to talk about later. On the bright side, we have 2 signings in Cornet and Skamaka. There we go. Always look at the bright side. Be nice if we were lining up someone who's quality and kept it quiet. That's Anton's wish. He's all these bids are phantom bids, and it's all part of the plan. And we're going to sign someone, and it's all smoke and mirrors. And the closer he gets to the transfer window deadline, you're thinking, don't think so. It does seem a bit scattergun now. Did you already talk about Cresswell? Yeah, I did. I did very, very briefly. Love it in the squad, but I don't think you want to be our main number 9. And Barnett right back for experience. According to X, he's trying to force a move and refuse to change. The trouble is, Wolves are in a worse position than us. They're just falling apart. Wolves are. And they haven't got enough money to buy Cresswell. That's why having to sell their players to try and generate some funds. And then the players they are going to bring in are Aaron Cresswell, they've got Doherty, and it's all just old Dad's Army players, isn't it? By leaving the buy and the players so late, they won't have had a good pre-season with us and gelled other players. True ladders, and I think that's more with the foreign-based players with no Premier League experience. Not so much so, I think, with the guys coming in who are already experienced in the Premier League. So if JWP comes in towards the end of the transfer window, he'd have had a decent pre-season already because he would have had it at Southampton. He knows the Premier League, he knows the pace, and then it's just about learning how to play with the players around him. And good players can do that. And so I'm not so concerned if he comes in, a week, 5 days before the Premier League starts, because I think that's sort of enough. A couple of training sessions, he gets a general idea. But with someone like Fofana or an Alaves or someone like that, they need a bit more because they need to develop. Obviously, they've got to come over here and set up shop and know everything about, or start to understand the culture and Premier League. And he would have known a lot of these players. in terms of play the JWP. 500 games he's played, something like love the away top without the sponsor, but ouch, the price indeed. Kaminoki ball, it's just nothing's happened just yet. You don't win anything with kids, indeed. Do you know what I didn't. I was very impressed. For someone who passed on his BCG test, I was very impressed. Deal was almost done indeed. Did you get yours done? Yeah, just got the old Prince Albert done. Just another one in there. Just put a bar in there instead. Antonio wanted Sally move for 200 grand. He's in financial straits, allegedly. Interesting. I saw JVP as I'd have a JVP as a deep line midfield player. We need to move away from the destroyer. More possession needed. I like a destroyer though. I like a destroyer. I think Alves is a little bit like that, but we'll see. You can see Forest coming in for Antonio. Forest been reasonably quiet, but a couple of good players and let a lot go, and not so crazy as this year though. Last year, Cornet would be like a new signing. I hope some of the new youngsters get some game time. I think Potts has been great pre-season. He has. Take over not possible till the goal probate is over. Just found out my nan's been linked. Very good. Good on you. I mean, Max Aaron's still gone quiet. Oh, yes. So if Aaron is in Aaron Cresswell. Yeah, it's got a bit quiet there. No new news. No new news that we've read or heard of. Anything else? I read that McTominay injured his knee in a friendly. Yep, so he's injured. We don't know how bad it is. Polinia's shoulder got out. So pretty much it's knocking every of our transfer window. You know, people are being sort of injured at the same time. So we probably would only be left with JWP unless he gets a knock. Although he was out, he didn't feature in the game in the friendly the other day, but I think he's going to be in the next one. Obviously, don't forget on Saturday we play Stade Rennes, Agaird's former side. Obviously, we're looking at Adrien Truffet at the left back for Rennes, so it'd be interesting to see what happens there. Afternoon all as Moyes has been sacked. No. Anyway, guys, I'm going. Thanks, Artel. Thanks for joining. Hammerstead on tonight. We're going to talk about Antonio leaving. We're going to talk about Pablo Forlals leaving, and we're going to talk about what's his face, Aaron Cresswell bigging up Divine and Bomber. And obviously, until then, any breaking news, we'll bring it to you as soon as possible. But if you're new, man, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a cheeky like. Just hit that like button. It helps us out much, and I appreciate it. I'll give you a little comment. Let me know who you're excited about coming potentially. And until next time, my friends, maybe become a channel member as well. Take care. Stay safe. Stay warm. Stay humble. And we'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye.